Can we speed this up? I have a lunch reservation. 23-year-old Victoria Ashford doesn't even look up from her phone when she says it. She's sitting in a Providence, Rhode Island courtroom, one leg crossed over the other, scrolling TikTok like she's waiting for a latte. Judge Frank Caprio, the internet's favorite 80-something judicial legend, sets his pen down slowly. Miss Ashford, this is a courtroom. Put the phone away and address the charges. I'm here. Isn't that enough? Her attorney jumps up. Your Honor, my client is prepared to pay all fines today and resolve this matter. Caprio doesn't even glance at him. Mr. Hale, sit down. This court is not a payment portal. The room goes quiet. You can almost hear the entitlement hit the floor. The charges seem small on paper. Parking in a handicapped van-accessible spot, tearing up the ticket, then ignoring 3 court summons. Total fines? Less than $1,000. But what's about to unfold over the next hour is so much bigger than money. This is the story of the day privilege walked into the wrong courtroom and met a judge who refused to sell justice. Subscribe and stick around because this one gets uncomfortable in the best possible way. The clerk calls the case. Commonwealth versus Victoria Marie Ashford. Judge Caprio leans forward. Miss Ashford, did you receive the 3 certified court summons that were mailed to your residence? My assistant handles mail. That's not what I asked. Did you receive them? I guess. The clerk confirms. 3 certified letters, all signed for at the Ashford mansion. Caprio flips a page. There's also a note here from 14 months ago. You blocked a loading zone at Brown University for over an hour during a catering delivery. The attendant wrote that you told him, my family donated the library. Victoria Ashford. I don't remember. Probably nothing. Caprio doesn't smile, but it's the kind of smile that makes attorneys sweat. Pattern matters, Miss Ashford. Let's talk about Wednesday morning. She sighs like she's being asked to do homework. I parked in front of pharmacy on Hope Street. I was inside maybe 10 minutes. Came out, there was a ticket. I tore it up. I didn't think it was valid. You parked in a space with the big blue wheelchair symbol and the diagonal access stripes, correct? Yes, but it was empty. No harm, no foul. Caprio's voice stays perfectly calm. Harm isn't just collision, Miss Ashford. It's denial. He motions to the bailiff. Officer Dantas, please play the body cam audio. A crackle. Then Victoria's voice, ice cold. This is ridiculous. Do you know who I am? Officer Leah Romano, calm and professional. Ma'am, the citation is valid. Victoria again, then write another one. My family funds this city. The courtroom is silent for a full 3 seconds. Caprio lets it breathe. Officer Romano, when she said, my family funds this city, how did you interpret that? As leverage, Your Honor. An implied threat. Victoria Escofs. It was sarcasm. I was annoyed. Caprio turns to the clerk. Miss Reyes, were there any phone calls or emails to this court about this case? Yes, Your Honor. 2 calls and 1 voicemail from a number registered to Ashford Innovations Donor Relations, plus an email asking for a quiet resolution because of the family's support of municipal projects. Victoria's attorney tries again. Your Honor, my client didn't make those calls. Caprio raises an eyebrow. Someone thought 36 minutes after the ticket was written was a good time to call the court. Someone moved very fast. Then he does something no one expects. Put Laura Bennett on speakerphone. A woman's voice comes through, exhausted but steady. Thank you, Your Honor. My daughter has cerebral palsy. Wednesday was her physical therapy day. We arrived at the pharmacy at 9:51 to pick up her medication. The only van-accessible space was blocked. I couldn't lower the ramp. By the time we parked somewhere else and got inside, we missed 20 minutes of therapy. They had to reschedule. Victoria mutters, it was 10 minutes. Caprio hears it. Miss Ashford, 10 minutes is a therapy window. The line clicks off. Caprio picks up the 3 ignored summons. All signed for by V. Ashford or per V. Ashford. You knew, didn't you? I don't read every piece of mail. 3 certified letters in 4 weeks isn't mail. It's a pattern. Then Victoria's attorney makes one last plea. Given the Ashford family's philanthropic role, we ask that the remainder of this hearing be sealed to avoid complications for civic partnerships. Caprio looks almost sad. Mr. Hale, sunlight is fairness. We stay on the record. He turns to Victoria. 3 yes or no questions. Did you park in a disabled space without permission? Yes. Did you tear up the citation? Yes. Did you ignore 3 court summons? Victoria hesitates, then, yes. We're 1/3 through the story, and the tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. Victoria finally snaps. My family has donated millions to this city. We fund programs, we support infrastructure. You wouldn't have half your budget without us. The courtroom freezes. Caprio waits. Then Victoria says the sentence that will live forever on YouTube. I own you. 12 seconds of pure silence. You could hear a pin drop in hell. Even her own attorney goes pale. Caprio's voice is soft, but carries like a gunshot. Miss Ashford, you own nothing in this courtroom. Not me. Not the process. Not justice. He begins his ruling. All 4 charges are sustained. The evidence is overwhelming. Body cam, photos, torn citation recovered from the sidewalk, 3 ignored summons, and attempts to use donor status as leverage. He lists the fines, $750 total. Victoria exhales like it's pocket change. Caprio holds up a hand. I'm not finished. He stays $400 of the fine, but only if she completes one of the most thoughtful restorative plans ever handed down in traffic court. We just hit the halfway mark. Here's what Judge Caprio ordered. Handwritten personal apologies to Officer Romano and Laura Bennett, delivered in person if they agree. 150 hours of community service, 75 at the Rhode Island Food Bank, 75 at the Mobility Access Coalition doing accessibility audits. No press, no photos. Record 2 public service announcements for schools about access equity, court-approved scripts only. Complete a donor influence ethics course. Write a 900-word reflection titled Money versus Authority. In her own words, no PR team. Caprio's final line before recess. Mercy isn't a discount. It's a contract. Then he goes further. On the record, he makes 6 sweeping policy recommendations to the mayor and court administration. Create a public ex parte influence log for every donor phone call. Build a donor contact firewall. Immediate towing for any vehicle blocking a van-accessible space. Mandatory PSA series featuring real families. He ends with a principle that should be carved above every courthouse door. Public office is not for sale. It is for service. Week 1. Victoria's first apology letter gets rejected. Too polished, clearly written by the family PR team. She has to write it again in her own words. Officer Romano agrees to meet her at a coffee shop near the courthouse. Romano tells her straight. When you said your family funds the city, you made me feel like my badge was for sale. It's not. Victoria, for the first time, has nothing sarcastic to say. Laura Bennett accepts the written apology, but declines to meet. She emails the court. She named what she took from us. That's enough. Weeks 2 through 10. Victoria logs every single one of her 150 hours. At the food bank, she sorts donations in silence. At the Mobility Access Coalition, she measures ramp angles, learns exactly why those diagonal stripes matter, and hears story after story from wheelchair users about the daily fight for basic access. One man tells her, access isn't a favor. It's a right. Her first PSA recordings come back rejected, too corporate. She records them again, just her voice, plain and honest. They pass. 12 weeks later, Victoria walks back into the courtroom, alone this time. No attorney, no entourage. Caprio reviews the file. Every hour logged, both PSAs approved, ethics course completed, reflection submitted. Miss Ashford, summarize your 900-word essay for me. No script. She stands. I thought money meant access. I thought because we donated buildings and programs, rules were optional for me. I thought we fund this meant we own this. She pauses. I was wrong. Money can build a library, but it can't buy a ramp for someone else's kid. When I blocked that space for 10 minutes, I stole 20 minutes of therapy from a little girl with cerebral palsy. When I told Officer Romano her job was for sale, I try to corrupt something that isn't mine to touch. Caprio nods slowly. You stop trying to own the system, and started learning to respect it. He remits $350 of the state fine. She'll pay the remaining $400 in installments. Then he says, "Don't thank me. Thank the people who taught you what I couldn't." 5 months later, every single policy Caprio recommended is in place. The court now publishes a weekly donor influence attempt log, 3 attempts logged in the first month alone. Citywide immediate tow protocol for blocked disabled spaces drops average clearance time by 47%. Victoria's PSAs are shown in 31 Rhode Island schools. They're not viral. They're not flashy. But one parent emails the court, "My son came home asking why people block the blue spaces. We had the first real conversation about disability rights he's ever had. Thank you." On a quiet Friday, Judge Caprio finishes his last case of the week. Before leaving, he writes one sentence on a note card and pins it behind his bench. Public offices are not for sale. They are for service. He turns off the light and locks the door. This story isn't really about a parking ticket. It's about what happens when unstoppable entitlement meets an immovable principle. It's about a 23-year-old who learned, the hard way, that no donation is large enough to buy someone else's access to the world. And it's about an 80-something judge who proved that real power doesn't come from money. It comes from refusing to sell what was never yours to begin with. If you've made it this far, thank you for spending your hour with me. Drop a comment. Do you think every case involving wealth-based intimidation should come with mandatory community service like this? And if you're over 50 and you miss seeing Judge Caprio on the bench every week, let me know because I do too. This was a dramatized retelling based on real events in Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom for storytelling and educational purposes. All sources and the original footage links are in the description. If this video made you think, hit that like button. It helps more people find stories like this. Subscribe and turn on notifications because next Sunday we're covering another courtroom moment that changed everything. Until then, remember, access is not for auction. I'll see you in the next one.